Welcome to Week 8, Creating an Annotated Bibliography. All the hard work that you put in during Weeks 6 and 7 to make the evidence appraisal table became the foundation for this week's assignment. And so a lot of the heavy lifting part you have already done. What you'll do is taking each of the sources that you identified and that you appraised in Weeks 6 and 7, you're going to now create an annotated bibliography using those sources. Now, please read the outcomes as well as the assignment description. Give you a little more information as far as what you're doing for this. Now, the last thing that you did in the previous assignment was you created a reference page. That reference page is the first step you need for your annotated bibliography. It is highly recommended that you copy your reference page, especially if you didn't have any corrections that need to be made, and paste that into a new document to submit here. Because those references you listed, that's a bibliography. And what you're going to do is you're going to annotate that bibliography. So keeping those same sources in that same order, the alphabetical order and everything like that, you're going to go in and put an annotation under each one. Now, these annotations have a very specific purpose. And they're going to help you really kind of be able to glide through upcoming assignments with quite a bit more ease. So, the first thing you need to have at the very, very top, above your first reference, is your PICO question as a reminder, so that as we evaluate your work, we can make sure that the articles that you found and the other sources of evidence tie back into that PICO question. So the very top is going to be your PICO question. Then underneath it, that's where you're going to paste those sources you had before, and make sure that their 6th edition reference formatting is used. Make sure that that is all in place and you don't have any errors. Under each of the references, you're going to place 2 paragraphs. In the first paragraph, you're explaining the main points or ideas that were in that study or that website or whatever it was. So if you had to summarize to someone what was listed in that source, what information is provided from that source, that's the first paragraph. The second paragraph is why that ties into your study. Do not put this in first person. Don't place, this fits my study because of this, or my PICO question is answered through this. But instead is, how does the information from that source tie into the PICO question? You do not need a title page. No running heads or in-text citations are necessary. We know what information comes from a source because the source is right above each one. So again, 2 paragraphs go under each source. So you'll have the reference, the 2 paragraphs, then the next reference, then those 2 paragraphs, etc. So here's a little exemplar. There's more information here if you need it as well. But for example, based on the PICO question before, which again is placed at the top, and this is a completely fictitious example, if this was an article that existed, implementation of the walking school bus in low-income urban neighborhoods, a randomized control trial, this first paragraph can summarize what was found in that article, and the second one, again, this is an example of how that ties in to the PICO question that is specifically being asked at the top. So, when you look down here at the rubric, you will notice that each reference is scored separately. And so, if you, for any reason, don't have all of them done, please put what you have and submit that as you go all the way through. And you'll notice that the interview is a slightly different layout just because it doesn't necessarily get addressed quite in the same way as those other references. And your overall formatting is worth half a point as well. So again, with this being a 100-point class, that is half of 1% of your grade. And that is things like, did you put them in alphabetical order? So if you run across any problems, please let us know. Otherwise, this is taking your evidence that you found and you placing your evidence appraisal table and turning it into an annotated bibliography.